It's about 7:03. So we'll open our meeting of the Monmouth Planning Board. It's December 12th, 2024. I'm Stephen O'Donnell, the Chair of the Planning Board. And we have all the members here. So the alternates will not be voting. So we have Ray Simon, Larry Saucier, David Mills. Bonnie Green is an alternate, Dave Shaw is an alternate. And Rick Grant is a regular member. Why don't we, if everyone is comfortable with that, we'll pass on the minutes till the end of the meeting. So we have two old business matters. And I would like to do the shoreland zoning one. 94 Morrill Road. Anyone here? 21 Morrill? No, on Zoom? Joe, is that you? Do I have to click him on? Yeah. Joe, is that you on the Zoom? I think it is. Might have to.
Yeah, 24 Morrill.
Yeah, good. Just wanted to make sure you're able to hear us.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we had a site visit last Saturday for this. This is a request to expand the building envelope, the non-conforming structure, one that is within the shoreline area. And the proposal is to add a 16 by 16 addition and a loft to the existing camp. Fortunately, I don't know if I can get into my computer because I didn't bring my power cord. And we have Bill Monagle here from Cobussy Watershed. Bill, you visited the site, and I think you sent an email for your suggestions. Just want to recap that for us? Are you able to?
Well, I mean, I think that I agreed with the recommendations that Isabel put out, of course, but when I did my site visit a few weeks ago, actually before the last meeting, I did my site visit. I thought you folks had already done yours. Then I looked at the plan. I had noted that there was the retaining wall within 75 feet of the shoreline. It was not really mentioned as a major proposed feature here, mostly focused on a 16 by 16 foot addition. And the point I was just making on that is that with the earth moving within the 75 feet of the shoreline, that will require a permit by rule from DEP. But saying that it's not an allowable feature because there wouldn't be any tree removal there, or less lifting the grade up a little bit with a retaining wall. Something very well be allowable, but would have DEP would just require a PBR, and the work would probably have to be done by a contractor certified set of erosion consultants working for land zone.
There's some slope from the road down toward the lake by this cottage.
There is, yeah.
We need to account for. So right now we're in kind of I guess our planner kind of put this as this portion as a public hearing. So I think we probably should have a motion to start the public hearing on this.
Make a motion to start the public hearing.
Second. All in favor? So do either of the owners want to make any additional comments other than what they put in the application, what was discussed at the last meeting?
I don't at the moment, just that what we talked about on Saturday with putting that retaining wall in, and that we thought that that would actually help with some of the water runoff that happens on our property when it does rain very hard there. But if we need to get a permit for it, we need to get a permit, and I'm fine with that too, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, often when there's any activity close to the shore, I mean, the permit by rule is a pretty easy process with DEP on this type of situation. And I think you could even file online, and it takes them a little while. There might be a small fee. And then once they make their review and determination, then they issue that. And we want to make sure that we get kind of a copy of their recommendation. Goes to the code enforcement officer.
I think the fee now is about $300.
For a permit by rule?
It's gone from about $75. It was, I thought, $275, but Wendy on our staff mentioned it's 300.
That's quite a jump.
320 for a PBR. And also, at least unless they've changed their process, it used to be is that you take your pre-construction photographs, fill out your application, you bring it to DEP or submit it to DEP, and it's clocked, it's in. And if you don't hear from them in 14 days, and I don't know if that's changed.
Still the same.
Yeah, if you don't hear from them for 14 days, it's approved. They don't issue an approved permit. They will either deny it or you are approved after 14 days. It's $300.
Wow, that is a big jump.
Yeah.
Any members of the public here interested in this project? So I think we can go out of the public hearing, motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close it?
Larry, second by Dave Mills, all in favor? Okay. Unfortunately, I can't access in print findings recommended by our planner. Does anyone have those?
I have.
Okay. I borrow these in a Okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So the first thing we have to do is to determine that this project meets the required setbacks to the greatest practical extent. Do we have a motion that doesn't make any practical to move this building, given its location and site conditions?
I would make that motion. And when we did the site visit, the topography in the back of it slopes up quite a bit, so there'd be quite a bit of soil removal, displacing of the current slope of the property. So I don't think that would be the correct thing to do.
So you're making a motion that this meets the setback to the fullest practical extent. And do we have a second?
I wasn't
You
there,
were
so.
there, I was there, so I will say I'll second Dave's motion. Okay. All in favor that this project meets the setback to the fullest practical extent? You abstaining, Ray?
Abstaining.
Okay, 4-0, Ray abstains. We have recommended findings.
Steve, I abstain as well.
Oh, you're, okay, 3-0, 2 abstain, Larry, and so it passes, that part of the approval process. So the planner had certain recommendations. Suggested conditions of approval. That the approval is limited to the plans contained in the application supporting document. All development must be as applied for and approved. Any deviation from the plans contained in these documents must be reviewed and approved. Prior to the start of any construction, the applicant is required to obtain a building permit from code enforcement. He has shoreline permit, but we that out. Erosion control measures must be installed and maintained during construction, meeting the specs contained in the Maine Department of Environmental Protection's Erosion and Sediment Control Best Management Practices Manual. Fourth, crushed stone must be added to the drip edge of the existing building and the new addition in order to minimize direct runoff to the lake. Runoff shall be directed to the existing drainage to minimize direct runoff to the lake. Any trees removed in order to expand the structure must be replanted with at least one native tree 3 feet in height for every tree removed. Post-construction photographs of the site need to be supplied to the code enforcement officer for the public record of this project. Prior to the start of construction, the applicant shall obtain a permit by rule from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection for any improvements within 75 feet of the water body that have the potential to cause soil disruption. A copy shall be provided to the code enforcement officer. So that's basically dealing with the retaining wall. And any other disruptions to kind of put that addition in. I think we've determined that this, we probably have to have a preliminary motion that the project does not reduce the setback to the lake. You want to make that motion?
Yes. If the project does not reduce the setback to the lake.
So this is not going to be any further non-conforming. I'll second that motion. All in favor? 2 abstentions. So David, Rick, and I in favor.
I'm talking about any things going closer to the lake. I'm just, I don't know if it was clarified what the purpose of the retaining wall is and what's going to be being retained to be behind landward of the retaining wall. Is it going to be vegetation or is it going to be possibly a patio or something? It's like, I just want to point out, is it a patio even with slates? That's a
You can't do
structure.
it.
That's a structure.
Right, you have to have something totally impervious there.
Right.
When we were there, we talked with the owners about if they were putting in a retaining wall to minimize flow of the building and that the only thing they could put in the front of the building would be crushed stone and something that would mitigate the runoff from the building or coming down the hill. So it'd have to be non-permanent.
And
It'd
that's,
have to be permanent.
you're not intending to put any other impervious structure behind that retaining wall?
No, we're just looking to make that area flat in front of the building.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah. Okay, just for clarification purposes. So I would entertain a motion to approve this project with the conditions of approval that I read.
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor? And abstaining, again, Larry and Ray. Okay. So we'll be getting a decision to you hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And then when you're ready to proceed, you've got to get a building permit from code enforcement as well as applying for the DEP permit for that work for the retaining wall and any other related disruption that would come about by putting that addition on. Any questions for the board?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you so much for joining in tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, very good. All right. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yep.
So the other old business, we have a public hearing on the application review for Berry Renewables LLC for a 0.99 megawatt solar array and gravel access way at 65 Berry Road, tax map 28 lots 73 and 74. So I would entertain a motion to go in, to open the public hearing on this.
Make a motion to go to public hearing.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. So we'll just turn it over to you to kind of, again, give the overview of what's proposed. If
Last time, does that work for you guys? If I just.
Yeah. And yeah, that's fine for now. Yeah, we went, anyone on Zoom interested in this Berry Road proposal? Are they muted? You might have to.
They can unmute themselves.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead. I don't hear anything.
So this is a 0.999 megawatt solar array that's going in at 65 Berry Road. It's a ground mounted solar array on a 6-acre leased area of the parcel. The site is currently forested. You can see that there are some wetlands delineated throughout the site. It would involve a gravel access road, as you said, to connect the site from Berry Road. That goes through this parcel here and then goes into the array. It's 20 feet long, so it's 20 feet wide at the beginning, and then it narrows down to 15 feet wide as it gets into the array. The array would be surrounded by an 8-foot fence, which has a 6-inch wildlife gap at the bottom to let small animals come and go. As far as stormwater goes, the project site, we do get some runoff from the new impervious surface from the road. And we are in the watershed of Lake Anabesicook, which is considered most of this development and is severely blooming. So we provide stormwater treatment to a certain extent for this road, for DEP standard. So there's vegetated buffers proposed along parts of the road to provide treatment, and also soil filter down at the east end of the array to provide additional filtration as well. There will be some impact to the wetlands on site through tree clearing. There will be direct impacts within the site of the array itself. In those places, the trees will be cleared and the stumps removed, and then anything outside, 10 feet outside the fence, along the road, and within this wetland that does go into the array, that's all. It'll be cleared, but the stumps will be remain so that the soil stays on the curb. And the meadow itself will be replanted. But the space under the array will be replanted as meadow with native pollinator species, and it's only mowed twice a year. So like the grass below the level of the solar array. So we do need to submit, or we have submitted 2 permits to DEP for this project, one for the stormwater controls and one for the wetland impacts. Those people submitted. And since we last met and talked about the project, we've gone on the site walk with you guys. We reached out to Bill at Cobbossee Watershed to see if he had any comments. He contacted us yesterday and said that he did have some additional concerns. He's concerned that the amount of stormwater treatment that we're providing is based on the entire parcel size rather than just our project area, which is how the DEP standard works, but it does not leave much phosphorus budget for any additional development on the property. So if there were to be more development within that same lot, it would need a lot of stormwater treatment. And so we sat down with the owner today and we explained to him what that would mean for his parcel. And he's comfortable with that, and he understands that that's a limitation for future development on that lot. And we also provided to Isabel an agreement from the abutter waiving the 200-foot setback.
He provided us with that, so that's one abutter is reducing the 200-foot setback to 50 feet. And so how much of the existing vegetation will be used to sort of provide some buffering from the adjacent properties?
So there's a wooded buffer along this portion of the road. It's 35 feet wide. Leave in the packet, it should detail the exact square footage of each one, but there's a wooded buffer, so it'll be the trees that are existing will remain and be protected in place. And then there's also a meadow buffer once you get closer to the array, and so that's, again, it's space that will be cleared, but replanted as meadow and then protected in place for runoff from the road.
But is this project essentially screened from the abutters just by the natural vegetation, or are you gonna have to do some planting of?
It should
Of
be
trees.
naturally screened. There's trees that will remain all the way around the array to provide screening.
And I think the railroad has a significant boundary with this parcel.
It does, and NextStamp has reached out to the railroad to try and contact them about buffering and setbacks from the railroad, and the railroad several times to contact them. But you did say that that portion of railroad is actually not in operation at the moment?
Yeah.
That's the understanding.
About that. I think it is used.
It is usually,
They're probably, it's all freight.
it's
It might
it's
be
not
too
a
straight.
scheduled run, but the tracks are utilized coming up through Wayne and that type of thing.
Yeah, so they.
The north and the south every day.
I mean, it's not the typical abutter concern that we would have, you know, it's mostly, you know, provide buffering for residential and other commercial development that might be kind of affected visually or something, so I don't think we'll ever hear from the railroad. We've had other projects that they
20
just,
years I've never
Yeah.
heard.
I think their only concern is if you impede on their right of way. That's the big, that's what they're concerned about. Any questions from members of the board?
I've got a question. What is the purpose of the personal gate facing the railroad?
It's just to provide access to and from the array for maintenance workers.
Maintenance workers?
Yes.
Also, IF&W likes gates around in case an animal gets in there. There's in multiple points they could open gates and let the animal out.
Yeah, I guess you could put the deer out on the tracks and open the train comes.
Yeah. Deer can jump pretty high.
Yes, they do.
Decommission cost estimate. How do you guys determine the 24,000? Is in that 24,000 include inflation over 30 years?
Yeah, the DEP has a calculation that they utilize for decommissioning. It's based on sort of a market that's been established for decommissioning. Figure out the cost to decommissioning the array in present value dollars. I don't know if the current estimate nets out salvage value typically, that's considered but not included in the calculation. And then you escalate for inflation over time.
DEP looks at it every 5 years, I believe. Once we submit the decommissioning application, DEP will revisit that cost every 5 years over the course of the life. of the project.
And would this cost make that adjustment after 5 years if they need to?
Yeah, DEP would, if they require it to be increased, it'll increase.
What's the life expectancy of the panels?
They are warranted 20 years, typically. 20 years, 20 years. 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 20 years, 20 ye based on arrays in operation, we see the full life that can extend up into 40 years. But 20 to 40 years is generally the life. But
Or if something adverse happens, it could diminish also.
for like a tree fell on a module, you generally just replace it.
So is the line feeding the grid going to follow the axis?
Yes, so there are connections along here, utility poles.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, there's utility poles that would be installed to provide connection from the utility along the road.
So it's not going to be underground, it's going to be above.
It will be underground once it gets near the array, but they have to provide connection to the array through a series of poles, and then it goes underground.
But from the array to wherever it's going to tie into the grid along Berry Road, it's going to be above ground. Is that correct?
Yes, it's above ground until this turn in the road.
So there's a series of poles. The first 3 or 4 are utility required, so CMP is requiring those. And then there are customer poles with reclosers, disconnects. It's various pieces of equipment that are required on. And then it goes underground and runs to the array.
So it doesn't go underground for the length of the access?
No,
Just as it comes out of the array?
Correct, yeah, it's so from here to here is a run of poles.
But along that access road here, it's going to be above ground. It could be subject to natural trees falling, et cetera.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, technically, yes, yep.
Because usually when they put in some type, like the power lines and that, there's some additional clearing on either side.
Yep.
So that if a tree does come down, it's not going to continually take the lines out.
Yep, yeah, there's, I think it was 12, but I think it's gone up to 15. So this is a, access and utility easement that the road is in, running over this first parcel. So the width of that easement covers the spacing from the pole line, the overhead line to the clearing limit of the trees.
Sure.
So I think it's 15 feet now. It's on the plans, but I don't know. I'd have to-
I can't remember from the application, did you have to get, did this require kind of a permit from Public Works for the road entrance to Berry Road? I know there was sort of a, and I couldn't tell whether it was a skidder trail going in or an actual entrance.
I think it was the landowner tried to do somebody had mentioned on the sidewalk that the landowner tried to do something at one point, but didn't.
Got approval for a parking lot for a tractor trailer back 10 years ago.
Okay,
So that was taken care of through her, but at that particular point,
Right.
it did not require anything, I don't believe. I can't
all
remember.
right.
I was codes officer, but
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I mean, do you think there's a need for Public Works to grant a new permit based on
On a different use, you might want it just a letter from
a letter from Tony LaPlante?
They'll just go look at it and see if anything has changed since the last approval, because it never got used.
It will be slightly improved, so that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, and he's looking at sight lines and things like that. And
And if it's a culvert, after you, if it's a culvert that's required, you have to put it in and then he would maintain it. So, you know, he takes responsibility after that, so he should have some say in it.
sure, anyone.
Under the decommissioning, I see that you have native seed mix, but you have a wooded parcel now. So does that mean once everything is gone, it's still a big hole in the canopy and you're gonna throw some wildflower seeds in and that's it? If there's no replanting plan, I've read it, and there's no replanting plan in the decommissioning. So it's just left as a big hole in the canopy.
Yeah, that's
Yes, okay.
DEP, that's what DEP requires as part of their decommissioning application.
Fire, a hole in the canopy.
Except may grow back.
Yeah, over time, it will grow back.
40, 50 years. Maybe.
Um. So I guess you're still waiting for DEP. How long ago did you file with DEP? Oh, today.
Yes.
So it's gonna be a while
It took us a
before,
while to get the permits in.
yeah, so before they give you approval, it could be some time. What's your hope for start of construction? Any idea? Or you're not, not knowing, if DEP approved this, say, within 9 months,
It's 90 days is the two permits have, one is 60 days, 190 is 90 days
for them to do their,
from submission, yeah.
so do you hope to get started this spring? Is that the goal?
Late spring, start construction.
So the parcel site is at 5.6 acres that you're leasing? Is that about right? Something like that.
5.94.
5. So Bill, if a landowner signs some type of consent that they understand no further development without approval, and that this could impact significantly phosphorus issues. So that whole site is being considered, is that going to alleviate your concerns?
I'm not certain of that. I don't know who would enforce that, number one. Is that an agreement like the lease agreement with the tenant or the landlord? Is that between the landlord agreeing to the tenant that they will not be doing anything further? As you know, I've been reviewing these for a long time, and this is the first time that I've had to review a proposal where a larger parcel owned by one person is leasing a smaller portion to another, but the whole parcel is being used to calculate a phosphorus budget. That's to me akin to someone saying that their neighbor is going to let them use their land for phosphorus too. I went through the phosphorus methodology and I've been familiar with it. I've been using the phosphorus methodology since the 1989 first version. It keeps updated. Anna's right. It says in there that the phosphorus budget is based on the size of the parcel, but there's no language in the methodology dealing with any situation such as this, where a portion of the parcel is being used for the project. And so I looked at other similar because I could not find definitions in there for development parcel or, trying to define the parcel in the methodology. But I did go to DEP's site location of development, and they define a parcel of land as the block or a piece of land that a developer owns or has sufficient title, right, or interest in regardless of size, blah, blah, blah. And up above, they say any transfer of title, right, or interest, except those described in paragraph 2, which doesn't apply, shall be considered a sale or lease. This is a lease with right, title, and interest being conveyed to Berry Renewables, but only for 5.9 acres. They don't have right, title, and interest to the 47-acre parcel. And DEP has no authority over the remainder of that. If the application is 5.9 acres, that's all DEP has authority over in their permit. They cannot, because the owner, the landowner is, the landlord is not an applicant to DEP. So they are not part of this permit, nor are they an applicant here. So the town would not have any real jurisdiction over the landlord. It would probably be possible. I don't know what the arrangement is, what the landlord is willing to do. whether it's putting in a conservation easement, but if it's an agreement to the tenant, that becomes a civil matter in the end if the two disagree on something or someone gets into trouble. But I called Jeff Dennis, who, you know, I've known Jeff for 32 years since I've been working here, and he's the principal author on it. And he said that the whole spirit of the phosphorus methodology is you have to have right title and interest to be able to take advantage, number one, of the phosphorus budget, but also to have any right to do anything under the permit. So I think my understanding, and I just got he was at a meeting when I called him earlier today. I wanted to try to get some clarification. He called me when I was on my way home. I was in the parking lot at Hannaford, but we spoke. But I think there's gonna be some discussion on this, but I mean, I'm just looking at it as an example, the Days Solar on Ridge Road down there, the big one. They used, out of 158 acre on the parcel, they used 50-something acres of that land to calculate their phosphorus budget, because that was associated with their solar project. So again, I just think that without either the landlord, this is just my opinion here, without the landlord being party to this application, the town would have no leverage or no authority or any regulatory oversight of the landlord if he's not part of this project application. You can only regulate the applicants, and that's the same with DEP. And and just another thing that I think the landlord might want to, I mean, because I look at these from all different angles. You look at 20 years down the road or whatever, whenever it's decommissioned, and the panels are removed. The property owner still has 1.62 pounds of phosphorus that they have to deal with, and they have very little left for any future development, because when the panels are removed, the panels are not a phosphorus generator. They're not, it's only the road.
Yeah.
And unless the road is removed, revegetated, all of that developed area is development post 1997 and is going to be applied towards any future development on that property.
The road will be removed and revegetated as part of the decommission.
That is
Well-
the decommissioning section?
We've had others that have been similar to this, and they've been part of the condition of approval, and no further development. It's similar to subdivision.
It's gravel
No further-
access road.
No further
And it-
development of the site should be completed without town and DEP approval. Also, just as we're discussing it, I know it's hard to see it at distance, but the edge of our project is here. This is a large wetland that we're not touching, and it's also deer wintering area mapped by DEP, so there's gonna be no development of that area
Right.
anyway. And the landowner's aware of that.
But I mean, even if they wanted to do on under 40 acres of 3-lot subdivision, it would still have to meet a phosphorus standard at the local level. DEP doesn't get involved in 3-lot subdivisions, but locally you do and we do. So, there's just something, I'm just saying that this would be a first, this would be a first for me, I'm not saying that I haven't seen situations like this, but I've never seen them that go through. And when I talked to Jeff, he's been working here for over half century and that, and I got the impression from him is that he's not aware of it. This would be something that would go forward. So it might be a bit, I don't know, was your application today, you said it was one submitted today. Was that, and you mentioned it was stormwater, did that include the phosphorus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
we did have
today
We did have a pre-app meeting
with,
with Beth Callahan, and we also had a meeting prior to that,
with Cody.
with Cody.
Right.
And they were both on board with how we're doing the calculation.
Okay, anyone here in the audience with questions or comments on this project? If not, I think we'll close the public hearing and go back to our regular meeting.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second by Rick. Motion by Larry, all in favor of Close
It has to go in there. The road restabilization is not listed in the repair.
All right, a motion to close the public hearing?
I mean.
All in favor? Great. Okay. So it sounds like the application probably need two things. Probably need the application amended to include the landowner. There may need to be an amendment to the lease that clearly indicates that, you know, that the project company is able to have the other land that's not where the solar arrays are or the road to be included in the, I don't know if you'd call it an easement, might be considered an easement. But I think there has to be some legal kind of heightening of the lease or some agreement that we're gonna need probably to. And I don't think we can go forward until we get the amended application. I mean, I think you can do it. I don't think it's gonna be gonna probably require some legalese to work that out.
You know, Steve, I mean, regardless what the landlord wants to do in the future, whether doesn't have to be subdivision, it doesn't have to be commercial. But if that land is all being used for the phosphorus budget, it can't be, nothing that generates phosphorus can be done on that land.
Right.
Whether you're removing trees and allowing some pasturing or some animals. And those are things that could be done without going to a code enforcement officer or coming to the planning board. It would never see the light of day as far as regulatory. And so it would be something that could just happen and it wouldn't be subject to further review.
Well, I mean, we could put a requirement in that periodically we'd have to have an independent inspection report submitted to certify that there's no additional development occurring on that property of whatever ilk or kind. And I think that's the only way we could do it, is to say every 2, 3, 5 years, I don't know, would have to come up with something. But I think we would kind of reach that question when we get an amended application that includes the owner. And then something would be recorded probably in the registry of deeds that would, what they call run with the land. So if the owner tried to sell a portion of the other property, a title search is gonna pick up something.
You know, whenever I've reviewed and we also review a lot of site location projects and stormwater law projects. And typically when the DEP issues their department order, one of the conditions in the order is that any further disturbance of this parcel requires that the applicant amends or comes back to the department to amend the permit. And how I see this happening is if the landlord is not an applicant, is that they will not be part of the order.
Yeah.
And so only the tenant will be part of the order. And I don't know how they can say to the tenant that if you do any disturbance or if your landlord does any disturbance, you have to come back. And I don't know if they would have the authority DEP would have the regulatory authority to reach beyond the applicant in a permit.
So they may have to amend the DEP application.
Well, I'm just gonna be interested to see how they really, settle on this at DEP, because, I've been on a lot of their task force on actually updating these over the last 30 years. I haven't for the last 10 or so, but, there's been a revolving door of reviewers over there. And I don't know how, I guess up to speed on some of it, some of them are, I'll tell you the truth. So.
got a comment for?
Yeah, and so we hear your feedback and we appreciate your feedback on this issue. It's the first time we've encountered.
Yeah,
It's an interesting one. I think we do probably need to, it's probably not gonna be resolved tonight. It's something we should probably talk to council about.
yeah, so, we can, if you're comfortable with it, we could table this to the January meeting. I mean, with the holidays, I don't know if that's gonna give you enough time, but if you wanted to go not come in on January, you want to come in February, we're open to that. But I think, yeah, you probably need to sit down and talk to the landowner, talk to your legal counsel and see if you
You
can.
mentioned an easement that would, be recorded.
Yeah,
That might be.
that might be an option, you
easement
might,
For the remainder of the parcel for the phosphorus.
Right.
project that follows the way.
Something that could get recorded.
something that could get recorded so that we have some way of holding the owners to the requirements that we might put on the parcel.
I'll just say it, I received this, I think from Anna just a week or so before Thanksgiving. And the first thing I did was because it's, 100-something pages, whatever, the full application. And holidays are coming, I jumped to the phosphorus review section. And I just looked at the calculations, I'm going, the numbers all work, 42 acres times this and that. And then as I'm getting ready to write the letter for tonight's, yesterday, to bring copies here to the meeting, going, wait a minute, 5.9 acres is the project. And then that said, I don't think I've seen that before. And if I have, it's like been on these other ones that we've reviewed, whereby they're only using a section of the property. And as I mentioned on over the phone, this is an unusual one
Yeah.
because some of these roads, most of these other projects, their access road is no longer than 300 feet off the main road. That's it. And then they get to their temporary construction road. But this one here is 33,000 square feet of gravel road. I mean, 3/4 of an acre. And so it's really, that's when all of a sudden I go, wow, the phosphorus calculations on this is typically I just more or less just say, it's good. But this one here, it's a little unusual in a sense and a little complicated than more so than other solar farms. And they've been coming in Winthrop, Manchester, here, all throughout the district, our solar farms are
Yeah.
coming.
And the other ones we've reviewed have been very short access ways.
Very
The
short.
3 we've had in town here already.
Yeah.
We haven't really run into this either, so.
And they've been bigger projects. Most of them have been 18 acres or larger. This is 5 acres,
Yeah.
6 acres, but with 33,000 square feet of road.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
We found that visual buffering is becoming a bigger issue.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's perfect for that.
Well, yeah.
It's perfect for that.
The
We
one
don't-
down on South Monmouth Road last month.
Right.
And then about the noise, and then they were concerned about the noise. And then someone said, well, how about the sheep?
Yeah.
Well, the sheep don't make it, they're gonna be there. The sheep don't make much noise. She said, it's not the sheep, it's my dog.
Yeah.
Barking at the
Yeah.
sheep. So, yeah, something.
Okay, well,
And
You
can you
know-
also look at the decommissioning for the road? Just an amendment for that, just stick something so that's taken out.
and that might affect your budget on that too, I would think,
I
but,
would think so.
To adjourn, to table it.
well, yeah, I just wanted to say before we make the motion, so a motion table is non-debatable, so we want to make sure you're comfortable.
Yeah, let's continue if we could to the January meeting.
Yeah, okay.
If we don't have the information we need.
We
before then.
can get in touch with us, with Isabel, and yeah, we probably have no problem tabling. So,
Were there any other questions or comments that,
no, I think it's those issues, having the landowner involved in this, so there's the possibility of, number one, enforcement, and two, that this project, no land's gonna be sold without their knowledge of the third party buying that they're gonna run into some significant restrictions. There was one other thing that just crossed my mind. We try to come back to that.
You know, there's that term, you know, the common scheme of development is site location and everything else. And this might be a case where it is like the landowner and the tenant are within a common scheme of
Yeah.
development. So it's,
Yeah, so we have the issue of the, should he be a party to the application or should there be an easement or, I mean, I haven't really thought that through, but an easement may take care of it some ways, but you can always reach out to Isabel and say, we're looking at a couple options and get her kind of thoughts on it. I mean, we have to ultimately make that decision. The other thing I was just thinking about. Oh. Anyone think of anything else? I had some thoughts. I didn't write it down quick enough. I kept going. But I mean, otherwise, I think, you say you don't have issues with the butters, which is good. Makes it a little simpler. It's just that size of the parcel, the size of the road kind of conflict to a certain extent. All right, so was it your motion, Larry?
I make a
Table?
motion to table it. to
Is there a
January.
second? Second by Rick. All in favor of tabling? Okay. If I think of it, I'll reach out to Isabel. She'll get a hold of you if there's something I'm thinking of that I thought was maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thanks for coming in and. All righty. We need a little break or are we ready to go? All right, we've got some new business. And is Tyler Baker here?
Yes.
All right. Move up a little closer to it.
Yes.
Like,
You're there.
Yeah.
I know, right?
we'll try to make it,
out.
yeah.
There you go. I got the east slogan. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Okay, so I'm Tyler Baker.
Yeah, is there anyone on Zoom who's interested in this project on Whittier Lane? No response.
Okay.
Okay,
Is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. That's all right over here. That's all right. I even got an extra one. I was like.
Come on over here.
Oh, right here. Oh, right. I don't have any extras. I got the perfect amount.
all right.
Awesome.
This is terrific, got these pictures, because I reached out to the planner and said, do we have pictures?
Yeah,
Now we do.
yeah.
There we go.
Yep. Yeah, so I got some pictures there. I'm Tyler Baker. This is my wife Lillian. She grew up in Monmouth. Her dad, Dan Kaplan. And
That's strike two.
I don't know, dang it, I thought it was a bad idea. Yeah, so we bought this place 21, right? 21. It's a little place right on the line in Monmouth. And it's super cute. We love it. We have two kids. One Luke goes to right across the street here at Monmouth Memorial. We have a 3-year-old girl. And yeah, we just love it. We love Monmouth. We want to grow our roots in Monmouth. Since we've bought the place, we found it has extremely high radon coming up from the basement. And obviously really concerned about that for health issues. Also mold, a lot of mold in there. So not only that, there's just not room to eat as a family, things like that. So what we'd like to do is basically move the building back, not move the building back, but rebuild it back further away. The property right now, if you look at this picture, it's literally 12 feet away from the high water line. So moving it back as far as we can would be ideal, because then we could get even some more lawn space in front for our kids to play and everything like that. And then be able to get into that setback, where we can have a little more square footage and then be able to do the attached garage that we want. So yeah, basically, that's our plan.
And, is there gonna be a second floor in your new building?
Daylight basis.
Daylight basement?
Yeah. Yeah, so from the road, that's what it'll look like, just one floor.
Whittier Lane,
Yeah.
Cobussy?
Yeah.
So usually at this first meeting, what we do is, determine the completeness of your application. You know, do we have the materials we want? We need? And then we, usually we like to make a site visit. Kind of look at the site, see where you are, where you're moving to, you know, what else is there as far as trees or other.
Sure. Oh, yeah, that's a good part too, is we only have to take down 2 trees.
Yeah,
There's 2 trees here, and that's really the only trees that we're gonna have to take down within the 100 foot. I think there might be like 1 or 2 out like
Beyond the
150 feet,
yeah.
but like only 2 within 100 feet.
What's the parcel size?
0.9. Yeah.
But it's resource protected.
Within resource protection.
Isabel,
Yeah, I didn't check the map on it.
I didn't check it either. I just read it now.
But there's a structure on it,
Yep.
so it probably is allowed to do something.
Yeah.
And the further back you are, the better.
That's it. I mean, we want to move back because honestly, we have a good amount of space on either side and it'll be nice to move it back. We're planning on being literally in this community for the rest of our lives. We love Monmouth, we love Cobussy. We want to protect the lake, protect the shoreline. We want to build a beautiful house that is, it's actually not even going to be white. I want it to like blend into the, I don't want it to like be out like green and brown or just like be really blend in, you know, not be an eyesore. I don't know if that's important to you, but it's the detail.
So how are you gonna be able, you know, you mentioned you got a radon issue.
Yeah.
How are you gonna deal with that for the new structure?
I got a really good plan.
Yeah,
Because my kids are gonna be down in the basement, so they have a lot of really cool technology now, so we're gonna put this like really thick, it's like an 18 mil poly you put down, and anywhere there's a penetration where plumbing is, you put a rubber gasket over and you actually bond that to it. And you actually tape it to the concrete walls and everything. There's like no way for the radon to get up through. And then of course, a full radon system, you know, sucking that air out.
It's piping underneath that floor with
Yeah.
the fan in the attic.
yeah,
Yeah,
blowing it
yeah, we
out.
really need that because I'm worried with my kids and
yeah, yeah.
all the
it's a real-
radon. It's
real
extremely
concern.
high.
Yeah,
It's code as of
Yeah.
November 30th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're sitting basically on ledge.
No, actually, no, I don't think, I've talked to my neighbors, there's really not, I don't think I'm gonna have a problem with ledge. I don't think, like my neighbors have lived there their entire lives, I don't know if you guys know Sue Baker, she's a sweetheart, she lives in that little camp next to us, she's like our aunt now. She's lived there her whole entire life, and I was asking her about ledge, and she said they've never had a problem. On the top of the hill, there's a lot of ledge, but I think that, because we're like right down. Behind here, it starts going uphill a lot, and I think just this whole area, it's very sandy. So I'm hoping we don't hit ledge. Answer your question, I'm not
Where's the radon coming?
the ground, yeah, so right through the basement, so.
If it's resource protected, there's rotting stuff that is producing
That's
radon.
producing radon, okay.
Yeah, when we bought the place, it was it was like a junkyard, there was like tons of tires and old cars and buried just junk, like, I don't know, there's just been, we cleaned a lot of that junk out. Yeah, it's crazy.
You have or you're.
No, we
proposing
have,
to-
yeah, I mean, there was like bottles sticking out, I mean, we've gone down and like literally like hand picked every piece of glass, because our kids are walking up there, we spent hours cleaning this place up. So, yeah.
yeah, so we usually do a site visit, and
Yeah.
a lot of times Bill Monagle, who is here from the Cobussy Watershed District, he advises us sort of on
Mhm.
phosphorus and shoreland issues.
Yeah.
And, And he comes up sometimes with good suggestions.
Yeah.
I mean, the last application you heard about, that had some special considerations that you're not gonna have to deal with that
Yeah.
level of complexity.
Yeah, okay.
So don't worry about that. So looking at the application, do we feel it's complete at this point?
Checked off.
She thinks it's complete.
Yeah, I just read everything. It's
Yeah.
done.
So we can entertain a motion, that, you know, the only thing I saw that we're missing were these pre-application pictures, and now we got them and they'll be part of the file.
Yep.
So with that, do we have a motion to find this complete application? So moved by Dave Mills. Is there a second? I would second it if no one else.
I'll second it.
Okay, Larry second. Any discussion on the application completeness? If not, all in favor? All the board members that are active tonight? Rick, are you? Yep, okay. So, did Michelle collect a fee for, Isabel collect a fee from you?
I don't think so. I'm
Alright.
ready though.
All right,
Checkbook's ready.
yeah, let's see.
Not that ready, but
No,
not that ready, but ready enough.
I don't know that I have the schedule right here. So there's
Well, yeah, I'd say we're hoping we can start in February or March. If it's
Yeah.
early spring, we'd like to start in February, but not probably March.
Does anyone have Darcy, do you happen to have the fee schedule here? New one?
Proposed new, does that look right?
Yeah, that's the shoreland. So the shoreland, current shoreland fee is $125 plus 50. So if you have a project of over $100,000, which you're probably gonna have. The base fee is $125 plus $50 for every additional 50,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what you gotta do is get in touch with Isabel and tell her what's a reasonable estimate?
Yep.
Is this gonna cost 300,000, you know, whatever, and she can tell you what the fee will be. But we need that kind of information. And that's a fee, and it covers, what we have to do is we have to send a butter letters
Mhm.
to your neighbors. So they know what you're doing.
Sure.
They have any concern,
Yeah,
they can come to our next meeting.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, awesome.
and I have to tell you, we don't often get, you know, occasionally, you know, someone's concerned, they think the boundary's somewhere else, you know, you're building on their land.
Honestly, we're like a family now.
Yeah.
They're all
You're probably
excited
not-
for us.
And then in some cases, people even waive the notice, but we're required to send a certified letter.
Sure.
And that ends up costing the town over $10 for each certified letter. So that's partly the fee, basis for the fee, and and we have the plan of the review stuff for us, so her time is sort of calculated into that, but.
Yeah, I've talked to neighbors about it. They're excited for us. Also, I take care of the road, so they're like anything for Tyler, because I'm always like grading and plowing and sanding and fixing and, yeah, so they love it. They want us around.
Is Whittier Lane off the
Colby.
landing?
Yeah, no, not that. It's right on the Winthrop Monmouth line.
Off 135.
So it's on the
Oh.
very
Top
top,
of
right
the-
on the tax map,
Right.
tax map 49,
Just-
right on the, I could throw a rock.
Top of the
off
hill,
Winthrop,
yeah,
basically.
that's where we have.
You on the end of the road?
Yes,
Almost,
last
right?
house,
Okay.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a camp on the other end as you
Yeah.
continue past his.
The camping, right,
Yeah,
the camping.
okay.
Well, it's not camp, I've passed these, no camp.
No camp.
I'm the last camp.
Okay.
I didn't see in the butter list
Yeah, that's the only thing we're gonna need is a butter list.
Are you back in next Thursday?
When I can be there. Wednesday, or Thursday.
Okay, call me.
Okay.
I'll come down.
Depending on plans.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, we just have to double check.
I'll do it. It
Yeah,
depends on when you're gonna plan this. How soon we have to get those letters in.
well,
I have to wait till they're paid,
yeah,
and then I have to get the list out.
Yeah.
He's gotta send them.
and we got the holidays, which is always good.
Holidays.
We'll be lucky.
Get it in before.
Well,
January.
could we, yeah, would we be able to do a site visit? First Saturday in January,
That would be the 4th.
is that gonna be doable? I think if,
Depending on the weather, obviously.
yeah, 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 I mean, there's access and it's a small site, so. What would be a good, what would be a
Stake
good,
it, no problem. Just let me know when you'll be there. I'll make sure it's all
yeah.
laid out.
What would be a good idea is if you somehow could stake where the new building is gonna be.
Mhm.
You know, and you know, just get wooden stakes and the, you know, take into account, well, if we had 6 inches of snow, you wanna,
Yeah.
so just
Yeah.
we get, just so we can kind of see, even if there's snow
Yeah.
on the ground. We have pictures, so we get a good idea
Yeah,
of what you
exactly.
got. That's one
Yeah.
of the benefits.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing that I wanted to mention too is that we want, there might be a little bit of a variance. The footprint of the actual house is pretty much spot on. We haven't got the plans 100% dialed in, but we may end up making the garage like a tiny bit bigger. And the other thing to consider is that we're gonna end up doing like thicker walls. We wanna do like almost like a passive house, like super energy efficient. We're gonna be here forever, so we're like trying to make.
yeah,
And so that may end up affecting the final, size, I guess.
yeah.
Just something.
But the
to-
garage, I mean, it looks like some of the house, the new house, will be within 100 feet of the shore.
Yeah, right. So
Garage
if you
will
look
not.
at this right here, you can see, so they built the garage in like 2002 or 4 or 6 or something, and that's like 105 feet away.
Yeah,
So that gives you an idea how far that is. So a lot of the entire garage will be out of the 100.
out of the 100 feet.
Yeah,
So that's,
exactly.
we're most concerned with the
Yeah.
area with.
Sure, I figured.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the trouble is you can't encroach more than the 20 feet that
Yeah.
you've got to the property
Sure.
line.
That, of course, is pretty rough.
Yeah.
That is at least 20 feet. Is that the setback?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
20-foot setback.
okay. So-
There's actually a 50-foot setback to the road,
Yeah.
but we have discretion
Right.
to
Yeah.
reduce that.
To be honest, it's really not even a road. It's more of an access. There's nothing past where we are. And the other thing is Sue, my lovely neighbor, I call her Aunt Sue. She owns this. She doesn't even think she owns it. I keep telling her she does. I've shown her I've shown her the survey and everything. She still doesn't believe me, but she said, whatever, if I gotta sign something saying that you can go closer, put in the deed or whatever, if there's a little bit of an issue with that.
She's.
She said she would sign whatever, so.
Is the road owned by a road association or do you
No.
own that portion? of it?
No, there's no road association.
It
So
looks like
who-
Sue owns it.
Who owns that piece of property that the
Sue.
road's on?
Sue.
Who's on?
Well, yeah, my aunt.
Yeah.
We just happen to have the same last name.
Oh.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just happened to buy this place. We have the same last name. It's pretty funny, but it was like meant to be. Yeah,
So she owns the right of way?
yeah, yeah.
I don't think there'll be,
Is it a deeded right away?
I don't think so.
he has to have a deed in his deed. Where's your deed? I saw it.
It's in the packet. Yeah, let's see. I think it's in the packet and I just.
He needs a way to get in.
Yeah. You know, if you don't have a deeded right away,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, the thing is this is like an old, so all this was like part of the Woolworth and this was like an access road to the like Welch's Point, and then. Over the years, of course, there's really no clean, nobody really has like these access, but you're right. While we're doing this, I should get that
It's
for
granted to
future.
Alan Alden D. Baker.
Yeah,
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 So that's,
together with a right of way, yeah.
Because if you didn't have a deeded access to that, in theory, somebody
right,
could procure the other property and just go, sorry, you can't travel over this.
right.
But you
Yeah.
have to look at the new house from far away.
Yeah, that's when I was actually had that conversation with Sue, and she's like, oh, no, nobody's like, she's old school. She's like, nobody's like that down here. I'm like, well, I'd really like to, because you're not gonna be around here forever. I'm probably gonna be around here longer. So,
It could be
The problem is that-
one sort of relative.
right.
But the problem is that properties change hands.
Yeah.
You don't
Oh,
necessarily
I
know who the new owner and what they're,
Especially around the lakes.
I know it.
People seem to get fussy around the lake.
God ain't making any more land, especially on the water.
Yeah.
I wrote the trust.
So
we did something, we did.
Protect
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I'll get that done. I'm not sure how to do it. but-
Now I remember, I remember, are you related to Michael
No,
and Richard Baker?
nope.
So
No.
that-
I just happened to be Baker. Isn't that weird? I know they had Baker on, literally, we didn't put the sign or anything on it. It was Baker stuff all around it. It was like, meant to be.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, well now I know where we are.
yeah. A lot of people know that camp.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
rented it out. and
Yeah.
stuff.
the Bakers used to own Boynton's Market in Hollowell.
Ah, okay.
Cabin
Yeah.
masters.
Yeah, Cabin Masters lived there and everything.
Yeah.
Actually, Baker used to live there too from.
The guy in the post
That's right,
office.
Dexter.
Yeah.
That's Sue's father is Dexter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This town.
Small world, huh?
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, getting smaller.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of history there. She's got a ton of memories. I mean, she literally grew up there from when she was a kid. So, I mean, it's kind of tough for her to see the camp go, but honestly, she's so happy for us. She says every time I look, she's lived down there by herself for so long. She says every day I look out and I see you guys there, it makes me so happy. She said, I just want you guys to be down here forever. I'm like, oh, yeah. You know, she's great, so. That's the plan. That's what we'd like to do.
Well, if you give us a figure, what do you
Oh,
think?
it's about more.
Yeah, she might want something in, do you have her email?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, Isabel's been great. She.
Yeah, so I would
They
say,
close tomorrow anyway, so.
yeah, town office is closed tomorrow.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
But if you email her and say that we wanted you to email her your estimated cost of construction for the new camp, you're gonna have to do a new septic.
So the septic right now is a 3-bedroom septic. I was hoping to, have it, let us rebuild the coffers for maybe a year or two, then redo it, but if we need to.
No, I'm
redo the
just
septic,
wondering,
then
you got an
we could.
existing one
We
now.
do have an existing one, it's designed for a 3-bedroom,
Right,
so.
and you think you can tie into that one?
Yeah. How
many bedrooms in the new one, the new house?
So it's gonna be 1 upstairs, our master, and then 2 downstairs for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still 3.
Yeah, so I think it's, estimate for the house.
Of course, if something needs to be done, like if if it ever fails, like it's gonna.
You gotta be-
Like I'm gonna get, it's not like I'm gonna.
Right, nobody wants that.
I'd rather get a couple more years out of it and maybe put that 20,000 towards flooring or something else, but I'm willing to do
So she
it.
gives you the number, if you can get in there Monday and pay it.
Yeah.
And then they'll call me or her.
Yep,
And we'll get the butter letters.
Yep.
Done and.
perfect. Yeah, I'll get it done Monday.
Get all that done.
So typically what we do in the winter for the site visit would be would say Saturday at 10.
Mhm.
And if the weather is really stormy, we try to do it Sunday.
Perfect.
On the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Sunday at 1 PM? You do it in the afternoon, right?
Well,
On Sundays
I,
or not?
10:00.
10, I think we do 10 either day. I think it's simpler.
Did you say the fourth, Larry?
Yeah. Would it be okay to go down during the week sometime if we can't make it that Saturday?
Yeah.
If, once you have the stake down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could stake out where the building is gonna be,
Yeah.
changing entrance or driveway into the lot or anything?
Yeah, so the garage will be entered this way, so right here, this doesn't really show exactly what it looks like. You really gotta go there to see it, cause it's just, this doesn't even look like what it is really. Because this road is really like this. It's kind of like this, and then we pull in like this, there's like a circle driveway like
Yeah.
this. And that's always been a circle for a long time, and we wanna be able to pull in that way.
Yeah,
And so that's why this section here where we need to drive over, I talked to Sue and that's why I was like, you know, I really would like to have written deeded access there. And she said, yeah, I don't own that. I'm like, yeah, you do, look at the survey. And then so she's like, well, I'll sign whatever, you know?
get it while you can.
Yeah,
Get it while-
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if you stake it, we'll see the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah.
Just stake from there
It's gonna
on
make
where the garage is gonna start and the size.
Yep,
Okay,
easy.
Kyla, you mentioned earlier something about a lawn. Is the intent from the front of the house down to the lake to have?
Well, we have lawn basically on either side. That's what I was picturing, like with the house gone. We'd like to put some, you know, garden there or just have it more usable, you know?
What I'm questioning now is from the lake frontage up to the building. That your intent to have more lawn there?
That's what we do now. That's what's there now.
so the lake people would tell you, you know, the Lake Association and Cobussy Watershed is that they encourage some like blueberry bushes.
Yeah, oh,
something
yeah.
that- Something that slows down any flow.
Yeah.
And you could probably figure out something that would meet the needs of having a play and outside area,
It's like
but
this, it's not like this.
Yeah.
This one.
this one's pretty level.
Yeah, it is pretty level, honestly. It's a beautiful lot.
Yeah.
Like, we just, yeah. It's this.
It looks now that you've got some riprap on the side over there. So they might go and request that you continue that around the
Yeah.
frontage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something.
And so you may run into soil disturbance when they demolish the old camp, right? So you may need to get a permit by rule for
Yeah,
that.
that's what we're planning on doing. I
Yeah.
figured we need
Yeah,
that.
you've got to go to DEP.
Yeah.
I figured this is the
Three
first
hundred
step.
and twenty.
Yeah, that's,
I know, right? Well, now we're over budget.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like- it's like, oh.
4 years ago, it was 27 though.
Yeah, I like that better.
yeah,
Yeah, well, so was the land was about that much cheaper too, then.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, well, we'll plan on the fourth at 10. Weather dependent.
Need a motion to accept the application.
I think we did that, didn't we?
No, we came out of,
That it was complete, we've got a motion by
We have a
Mills,
motion
second by
it's
the applicant.
complete.
Okay.
and now we need a motion to close the,
Oh, I don't know that we didn't go in public hearing.
no, to,
Except-
accept the application.
Okay. All right. Well, if we found it complete, we accepted it, so I think we're fine.
I make,
I
make a motion to accept the application.
don't think we
did that.
need it.
We don't
We don't need
Okay.
it. Since we found it complete.
Okay.
Elizabeth, not Elizabeth, I'm having
Isabel.
trouble tonight. Isabel is kind of taking the position that her accepting it takes care of that
I
requirement.
So all we do is make sure it's complete.
I
Yeah.
agree.
If we
Okay.
need anything else, so we got what I thought we needed was,
She's been great, been very
Yeah.
responsive. Any questions,
Yeah.
like boom, right there.
yeah.
So, glad to have her.
Yeah, and if if your cell phone number's on the application, then if there was a weather issue, we could talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you living right now?
Right there.
You're living in the.
Oh, yeah.
So you're gonna be there.
Oh,
whether-
yeah.
Whether or
Yeah.
not, okay.
If
That
you could
makes
give
it
me a heads
simple.
up, that'd be great, but if you guys are
Yeah.
talking through,
If we say Sunday, we're gonna come.
yeah,
or,
just give me a heads up.
You know, if Rick wants to get down during the week, it's sometimes easier
Yeah.
for him because
Yeah.
he's out of town. or,
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take a look.
Cool.
Okay. Very good. Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Okay.
So
Yeah, you like that? I do. That's fantastic.
so we must have left. Mr. Butterfield Bill and Stacy Butterfield on the Bonin Road.
Thank you guys for that.
Yeah. You might want that there.
Oh, I'm gonna hang that in the new house. Take care, guys.
And you want to do a stream crossing, is that?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it.
So I have 85 odd acres of land that is basically virtually not accessible at this point. You know, just because of the layout of my property and the stream and so forth. So we bought that house in 2014. And so since then, it wasn't a major priority until we came to the point where we finally got settled and said, okay, what are we gonna do with this? You know, we don't have any access to it, whatever. So I hired Harold from Two Trees Forestry, first I have to come and do a forest management plan for us. Do an evaluation and see kind of where we're at, what we're doing.
Yeah.
So he did that. Identified, need for some selective cutting to be done. Through that process, he identified that there was a couple of invasive species of bushes.
Yeah.
There's honeysuckle and multiflora rose, which I
Roses.
had no idea,
Yeah.
but it's not, it's invasive to the river.
Yeah.
So, and some of it is quite large, so. At that point, I reached out to the Natural Resources Council, got into a project with them. And then they were the ones that recommended, putting in a permanent crossing. And that we could work with them to get it engineered and all that, so. This started back along, I don't know if you ever heard of COVID or any of that stuff. It started before that, and then the brakes were on everything, like, just. So they engineered, the print that you see. And their intent was, to come and help us eradicate this invasive bushes and all this stuff. So they said, some of it can be done through chemical means, but some of it is big enough, so it has to be removed mechanically.
Wow.
So, so they, between the forest management plan, the resources council project, and what their recommendation was, that's how we came to the access road to and from the crossing. They did tons and tons of studying, everything from Indian burial ground studies to, they're about as thorough as anybody I've ever dealt with.
Yeah.
So, water flow studies, erosion, they look back over some type of 100-year plan about the size and scope of the stream, and the potential erosion from the stream over this course of time, what it probably looked like versus what it looks like now, and then they incorporate, parts of their project as far as the abutments go, how the crossing is built and so forth, to actually help mitigate erosion of the stream, both depth and width. Is what they,
Yeah, quite a few specs on this.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
So it has, the plan is for the access road from the back of my shop, we did an addition on the back of my house last 15 months ago, whatever it was. So that part got, developed anyways. And so part of the road that goes around, the driveway that goes around the back of my shop is actually goes in the direction of the access road that would continue for the stream crossing. So it's all, beyond the part that we developed for the house, it's all undeveloped at this point, obviously, but, the contractor that did the digging, we put tailings on the bank where this access road is paved, just in the meantime for the construction that got done for the addition that we did, just to shore up the bank and stuff on, to help with anything that was going on while the construction was going on, so.
How had you managed to get to those back acres?
Push a boat down over the river and jump in that baby, and it takes only about 2 strokes of the paddle and you can get across the other side, but it isn't very convenient. And it makes logging wicked bad. So.
It's deep enough where
It is deep.
4x4.
Not a, driving across, and the banks are pretty dull. This year, I mean, and part of the reason why we've waited this out was because we had 2 years where, well, we went through this whole COVID thing and all that, and then we had 2 years that was really wet.
Wet.
So
Yeah.
it didn't have to get done, like, there's no, like, I'm not building a house there, like, I don't, like, you know, nothing like that, so we just said, let's just wait until it makes the most sense, you know, when and of course it's dry now, like,
Yeah.
big time, so. And then, so we've just been in contact with the people at the Resources Council, they've been out several times and looked at it. Since this was all engineered, you know, and they just basically want a time schedule, so we have, you know, I've applied for the permit by rule with DEP. I haven't heard anything back from them, so the end of this week will be the end of the 14 days.
From where you put the addition on the back of the house? From where you put the addition on the house last year? Did you?
I did put it in the chair.
Right, but from where that addition is, what's the orientation to get out there from here?
So you pull in my driveway and then there's a driveway that goes around. There was like a pasture road, basically.
Okay,
It goes around the back of my shop and then, you know, into the back of the addition of the new house. And
Okay.
then, you know, if you look on the map, I can show you easily on there, but instead of going this way to go to the house, you go straight and it would go down to the bank and,
all right,
the engineering plan that the Resources Council drew calls for, I think it was total of 400 feet of access. But that's both sides.
okay,
And that was including getting, so part of that ended up being the access for the new addition of the house.
okay,
So part of that already got done, but it was not within the shoreline zone part. It was in the part that was permitted for the house.
right.
So it didn't extend any further than that.
We did one of these before on Jock Stream. Trying to remember a couple, they owned the house next to the church and then they built on the other side of the stream.
But this is a lot more elaborate than that one.
Yeah, this is a lot more thought went into this. I mean, how long, Phil, do they think? You know, that if you put in this crossing, what kind of maintenance would you have to do for that?
Well, I mean, the intent is, you know, it has the access road, the intent is to, you know, grub it out, get some big rock in the bottom, you know, and then I think there's 2 different sizes of rock in that print.
Yeah,
And then the gravel road over the top of that.
yeah,
And then all of the material that gets grubbed out stays there, you know, to create the slopes and so forth off that, so.
yeah,
We don't anticipate that it's gonna be terrible, because there's a rock ford in there designed before you get to the abutments of the crossing. So that in the event, like right now, if there's ever any run over of the stream, it's just, you know, it runs wherever. You
yeah,
know, so their intent is that this goes from the edge of the stream coming in the direction of the flow this way, so that if there's run over of the stream, it travels through this rock ford.
yeah,
You know, so it gives the water a place to go and then it handles, you know, I've learned a lot about what goes on with running water too,
Yeah.
other than the faucet.
yeah.
You know, it slows down all the silt and all the other things. You know, so would there be some need for maintenance with that over time? You know,
Probably, something.
maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's been all kinds of, you know, I've hauled out all kinds of temporary bridges that lived somewhere on Jock Stream at one time or another, since I bought that house in 14. So I hauled 2 house trailer frames out of the back of my property, you know, that were just kind of wadded up down there, you know, that people would use somewhere along the way. I have no idea where they came from, but. So we want it to be much more, you know, I want it to be something that's structurally sound, you know, like, and if we're gonna go and, you know,
Yard some wood out, you need something.
do that, eradicate this invasive,
Yeah.
you know, species and stuff, and, you know, so we, you know, I don't have a plan, you know, I have enough land there so that I can get in the middle of that piece and be outside the shoreline zone.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's just a stream crossing. I think that's the issue. And,
So-
it's not like you're putting it is considered a structure of a sort.
Just the road itself is the structure, I mean.
And they're gonna,
The
they're gonna
bridge
work with
is
us.
holy moly.
Say it again?
The bridge is engineered to the nth degree here.
So when they did this, they told me that anything over 20 feet long, if Resources Council, DEP, I don't think DEP does much designing, but anything that the state or the federal government designs, anything over 20 feet long has to be designed to the same spec as a highway bridge. $2,000 per foot.
Yeah,
So I said, time out.
timeout,
We're not building.
19 feet.
We're not building an $80,000 bridge here. We're not doing that. So what I said to them was, is it okay if you guys design the road to the abutments,
Right.
and the access road on the other side, and then I'll build the bridge.
There you go.
And they said that was totally fine. So they said, build the bridge this wide, we're building the abutments this wide.
Right.
Obviously, we can't build the bridge wider than that, right?
No.
So, and then we want it far enough back on both sides, which was my question to them, let's not build it so that it's sitting on 6 inches of the bank, let's,
Yeah.
so, it was a project, but this is what they do,
Yeah.
I did not know that they did that, but that's nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I said, I thought an $80,000 was gonna be a little bit.
It's a site, is it gonna show us anything?
Hmm?
No. No, you're gonna, like.
You're not going back in there.
Yeah, I don't go down.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's, the only thing is if people were interested in seeing what the stream looked like now. This is what I would recommend, Phil, is that you take a few pictures of where you're gonna cross. Maybe you can still get the canoe across, or, so you can take a view from one side, around one side, and then around another side, and then maybe a kind of a panoramic view. If we could have those, what we're supposed to get now on any shoreland project are pre-construction and post-construction photographs.
Yeah, what I can do.
And you can snap them on I don't know if you saw, someone had, like these folks brought in, they just,
Yeah.
you can do almost anything with a camera now, I mean, a phone.
I think the
Yeah,
folks from the Resources Council, I know they had some pictures that they took several times along the way, so.
yeah. If you could get a couple of those to us, well, I mean, what we have to do is, we have to send notice to any abutter. Not everyone along the stream, but just your neighbors.
Yeah.
Immediate neighbors.
Immediate neighbors, and we would come back and I think review this at our January meeting, which would be the second Thursday of the month. But if you could get those photos, and we probably have to, did Isabel talk to you about a fee?
Yeah, she told me it was 100,
Yeah,
and so, which is fine.
Yeah.
I told her I'd drop a check at the town office.
Okay, yeah.
She included it, the fee schedule, the back page, the last page.
well, I think that's a new fee schedule that she wants us to look at.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
something else.
And on an unrelated note, if you really want to know that, the DEP thing is $320.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
It was 307 is what it says on the permit. I sent them 307. They sent me an email promptly and said I owed them $13 more. And the worst part is you pay them the 307, they charge you the fee for paying by credit card, which you have to do. And then when you pay them the extra $13,
You get another fee.
they charge you another fee.
Now you're afraid to open up the next email.
I don't care. $13 ain't gonna be what gets me anyway.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, so we can probably come up with some pictures for you.
Yeah, come up with some pictures.
You won't have a site visit. we'll
We
just have
won't,
it.
yeah, I think, given the detail on those specs, there may be a requirement for a periodic inspection, but we're talking 15 years or something,
Yeah.
just to make sure. I mean, the concern would be that something happened there that would erode maybe it wouldn't be you, maybe someone down the road buys this property.
Yeah, certainly I don't wanna put all this money into it and then let it,
Yeah.
go to pieces. you know.
But somebody else might not be as conscientious as you. I mean, I don't know. That's something we'll have to discuss if that's necessary.
And working, on the recommendation from the Resources Council, with just doing this project or doing, we intend to do this in phases, to get the approach and the first abutment done. But their recommendation really is to weather related, like if it stays dry, all the silt fence stuff, the hay, all that stuff is all in this.
Yeah.
But they're recognizing the fact that it makes the most sense to do this, maybe even, not obviously during a hard freeze,
Yeah,
but when the ground is more firm.
yeah,
Obviously we don't do it in the springtime, whatever, but,
yeah.
as we work on this, and then certainly, once we get the first part of the approach done, if you wanted to go look at it, then it would be much more accessible for you, just,
Yeah.
but.
Okay, so we'll get us those photos, get them to Isabel if you can.
Okay.
And, we'll have you come back to our January meeting. It's gonna be a busy one, maybe, but, yeah.
Yeah, do we need a motion that everything's there on the application?
I think, that the application is complete except for pre-construction pictures.
Make a motion, that the application is complete except for the pictures. Sure.
We have a second? Rick seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Good. Thank you so much. Sorry you were on the end of the list. We'll try to move you up to the front of the list, ahead of the solar and the.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Isabel, I think, wanted to look at her fee
We're
schedule.
gonna do the minutes first?
Yeah, let's do the minutes, get them out.
Yeah, because we got 3 of them.
Yeah,
But he hasn't paid a fee yet, correct?
correct. He's gonna go in and pay it. It's told him $100. Yeah. So October 10th first. I was there, Ray was there, David was there, Larry was there, Rick was there, everyone was there. for the
I make a
October-
motion to accept the October 10th meeting. That's
This was Cone. This was the one where we had to correct something from an earlier. Okay. Any corrections necessary? Or take a vote. Vote on that, or is still questions? We're good? All in favor of accepting the October 10th?
Seconded. Larry,
I think Dave seconded.
did you second it?
Yeah. And they were unanimously approved. Then we had the special meeting on the 31st. And that was sort of just to accept applications, so I think.
make a motion to accept the October 31st meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? All right. Then we have the November 14th. And that's where we reviewed, Sun America's project. There are all the conditions and the approval. That goes on to pages and pages. Okay, and then we also had the 55 and over community at 1063. Then Isabel talked about process. And I think, did Isabel prepare the November 14th minutes?
No,
You were able to
I
do it?
did them and I sent them to her and she went in and made a whole bunch of changes and
There,
and her and I talked about it and this is the final copy that her and I agreed upon.
Make a motion to accept the November 14th minutes.
Second.
are we good to vote? Yep. All in favor? Okay, we're supposed to have the site visit there this Saturday. That's,
Yes.
1063 Main Street.
1063 Main Street. So, okay, so get that. There are,
What are you gonna look at?
I don't know what we're gonna see. We're gonna see the access.
Yeah, they put in a culvert, driveway.
Yeah.
They've started one
The house
building.
will be, the foundation will be poured tomorrow
On one house?
on one
Yep.
house. That's where the access is.
Yeah, so we'll be able to kind of just look in there.
You'll see the first house. I have a set of prints if you wanna. look
Yeah.
at 'em.
Yeah,
It's the spec house.
You can pretty much drive by. I mean, all you're gonna see is that.
All you're gonna see is,
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it will take us a short time. I mean, that's the whole thing.
I'm abstaining.
Oh,
Yeah.
because abutters might wanna be there. right?
Butters might want to be there. I don't know if Bill, he didn't stay around for these other shoreland. He may want to see, I mean, yes, you can't get in there. I mean, we got letters. I mean, we really can't get into the nuts and bolts. John Hale brought in a letter. I don't know if everyone got a copy of that.
No.
He called me. John is, he's not affiliated with the Trails people, but he has some of the same, concerns about access to open space and Monmouth. So, yeah. No, he asked if we were gonna have a snowmobile to give us rides in there. I think they're rerouting the trail, right? Have they done that yet?
Don't have to. The snowmobile trail does not interfere with what they're doing this year,
Yeah.
so we're not
This year.
rerouting.
Okay, this year you were right.
Right.
All right, so we got that. Going back to Jellystone.
Jellystone. On my side.
So, I told Isabel we weren't particularly happy with the site visit. But she's kind of telling, she and I had a long conversation yesterday. Apparently the select board in Monmouth and the select board in Wayne aren't concerned about the boundary between the towns. But there are issues between the boundary with that fellow Scott and Jellystone. And according to Scott's survey, I don't, can't remember his last name. Alan. That some of the development they want to do is on his land. But it may be land that's in Wayne. And Isabel said he has been paying taxes on a piece of property that Jellystone says they own. So he says, you know, she says, well, it's a private dispute. They got to work that out. But we have to determine, they got to come up with something. So we know, is this in Wayne or is it in Monmouth? Because if it's in Wayne, it's not our problem.
We don't have jurisdiction there.
We don't have jurisdiction.
And they have a moratorium.
Wayne has a moratorium. But they need to,
Interesting.
and so she's.
That's why they're coming here.
Yeah, that's why there were all these people from Wayne, because they're, you know, they don't want this expansion because.
They have a moratorium.
And it has a potential for, you know, 2,000 more people a week, a day on the property or something. If everything was built or something, you know, these.
They would have to substantially improve the road.
There's 10 people in every one of these buildings.
Right.
That's 5 cars and there's what, 33 of them or something?
Yeah.
So we're adding 400 more cars to the entrance.
And I don't know that we've got the traffic study yet. I tried to call Wayne, I called the Leeds chair of planning board, left my name and number and said, I think it'd be good we talk about this, but I never heard back. I may reach out to him again, but she thinks we're not gonna be able to move forward until they resolve their boundary issue.
So there's a private citizen that believes they're encroaching on his property?
He's got a survey that,
Okay,
and they have a survey. So my understanding is his surveyor's information has been sent to
Jellystone.
Jellystone.
But if he has been paying taxes on that land, has Jellystone been paying taxes on the same land?
No, probably not. So before, of course, this was owned by a different, and, you know, Jellystone bought this 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, that's on that.
Taxes on land. Doesn't
So
that mean-
Isabel had a couple questions. She wanted to know how people feel about the package.
I love it.
Any criticisms, any suggestions on the packets that she puts together?
Oh, the packets?
Yeah,
Oh, these were terrific.
yeah.
Yeah, I like them too because I can get, I mean, she made notes in there on how the wording of the,
Yeah,
you know, things need to do with the minute. Yeah, her and I have been working pretty close. And
Yeah, and these were, you could skim and see what you needed to know about.
yeah.
And that everything is there.
I have a question on the packets. Who is staff?
The 3 girls in the office.
I mean, I keep picking up on this staff recommended or staff this or staff that.
I thought it was her. I thought
Who
it
is
was
staff?
Yeah, all this, I think the planning staff is her.
Yeah,
It's her.
We don't
She's
have
writing
a,
it.
we have
yeah.
a planning department of 1.
So she did.
So why doesn't?
So she's the head of it and also the.
Staff.
So
She doesn't interact-
person, I guess.
She doesn't interact with the office staff, if that's what you mean. She does not interact.
Well,
with
no,
them.
that's what I'm wondering. When you refer to staff, usually there's more than one individual involved.
It's Darcy, you know, she's
Yeah.
interacting with Darcy, she's interacting with her, she's interacting with the town manager.
yeah, when she interacts with everything that she does, she CCs Lori and Justin on.
Yeah, because she's getting maps sent to her from Lori, probably.
Yeah, I don't know who's
I
doing
don't know
what.
who's sending her stuff. I mean, she can't get into the office
Unless it's open.
unless it's open. So somebody is sending her information that she needs. So she calls up Justin, Justin tells Lori to mail her, to fax her that, so maybe that's staff.
Maybe
I-
Lori's delegating too, we don't know.
Yeah, and Lori's saying,
I guess I'd like to know the chain of command here. Who the hell is staff? Who answers to who? That's all.
I don't know.
I don't know if Lori is an intermediary between the staff and town manager, or whether maybe on some issues, but not all.
Not
issues.
all issues, I don't know.
But when I read staff recommendation.
That's her.
That's her.
That's,
That's-
that. I
that's our
thought,
planner.
That's Isabel.
That's
Yeah,
our
that's
plan.
Isabel.
Yeah.
I don't know where she's getting the information from, what staff she's getting.
Yeah, who's influencing who and who's backing away from who, or whatever. That's where I'm going with.
She might be going back to the applicant to get the information. And the applicant's going back to the town office to get a copy of the plan or something too. It could be that way.
The feedback I am getting from the applicants is they are very pleased that there is a person that responds. And I am very happy that I'm not getting, other than John Gale, calling me a couple times a week sometimes.
Yeah, called me too.
So that seems to be working. She told me that Isabel, that she's getting kind of the word that, she spent more time than was anticipated for the first couple of meetings. She had a conflict tonight. But she's saying that if, her understanding is that if we want her at a meeting, we have to have the town manager's permission to bring her in, that there's some specific reason that we need her here.
Okay.
He's never gonna say no.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get complaints from us, he will never say no. If he starts getting complaints from us, then there's trouble. He just does not want to talk to us. He doesn't need us on his plate.
So, yeah, and I said to her, Isabel, it may be that maybe there'd be a meeting that we would want you to zoom into. But, she definitely wanted feedback about the packets, what people expect. Do they need more? Do they need different format or?
I think the format.
And we can always have a discussion with her, if we, probably after, January looks very busy. But maybe we'd say in the February meeting, maybe have her zoom in. We can just talk for a couple minutes if that's necessary. What about her fee schedule?
I like it. Look at it. It looked comparable to everybody else.
So there's a
Change.
a big change is a sort of like a public disclosure fee. Technically, we should be putting an ad in for any public hearing. And
Put the ad.
it's in the KJ.
Putting the KJ.
She did. There's nothing else.
She did for these.
Two, I think.
She did.
Yeah.
Can we put it on the town website?
That doesn't, under the current ordinance, that isn't,
We gotta go change the
we've
ordinance.
got to change the ordinance if we're gonna do anything different notice wise.
Because how many people go and pick up the KJ now? Or, even.
Well, that's the trouble. There is no other means.
Yeah, I get one every day.
I do
I get one every day.
Doesn't take long to read it.
Yeah,
No,
It's only 10 pages.
yeah. Look at the obituary.
Look at the obits.
no paper on Monday anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See how the Monmouth basketball team did or whatever.
I mean, unless I'm wrong, I thought I read somewhere where they're not even printed in Augusta anymore, wherever it comes
It
from.
might come from Waterville. Well, it's, the Portland paper, Waterville paper, and Kennebec Journal are all under this
Owned by the same.
news trust, whatever it's called.
Local news.
But anyway, yeah, I thought it,
I liked it. It's what we needed to do
Yeah.
a long time ago.
so should I tell her we're in agreement with this schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
And
know
then
that
she
we-
has to get it approved from the
Select
select board.
Do we need a motion for this, Steve? Approve those or not? I'm just asking.
No, because it has to be approved by the board of selectmen.
Yeah, we just.
We're
just saying-
recommending.
Yeah,
Recommending.
the planning board recommends they adopt her schedule.
Right.
I think that's all we need on that. We have public comment, I know we still have two people on Zoom. Anyone on Zoom have any comment, question to the board? If not, we're probably gonna adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Not debatable.
Second, all in favor?
9:00. Boy. Jeez. Okay.
I won't be here for the January meeting. I gotta.
Oh, I had something I wanted to tell you.
I had to cancel last year when my husband passed away, so we had to use, 15 in January. so I'll miss that.
Yeah. When I was in the town office on Wednesday, I was talking to Sarah. She sends out all the tax bills and all of that stuff. And I was telling her how frustrated I am because all of that stuff, all these butter notices that I've been sending out, a big portion of them come back because the addresses aren't right. She's dealing with the same